dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYNT Mountain News at 11.
You are looking live at the eastern coast of Florida. Winds are picking up and thousands are without power in Florida as Hurricane Matthew makes its approach. The devastating storm has already killed at least 280 people in Haiti, and authorities have ordered 1.5 million folks in Florida to evacuate. Good evening to you. I'm Tanner Hesterberg. He's Andrew Dockery, our meteorologist. Andrew, you're watching this storm, and right now it's shaping up to be one of epic proportions.
Yeah, we're watching this storm closely. Of course, Category 4 still, and you see going on in this monitor here too is Hurricane Matthew sweeping along really parallel of the eastern coast of Florida, and we'll continue to watch this as it moves northwest. And notice the hurricane eye has not made landfall, so still not looking at direct landfall, and some models, Tanner, suggest that maybe we won't see landfall until maybe up towards the Carolinas. We're going to watch that closely.
Right. The storm made landfall in the Caribbean earlier this week. They're still trying to figure out the exact death toll there.
And Tanner, forecasters and reporters in Florida and really across the eastern United States are covering this storm. CBS's Don Champion has the latest from Orlando.
Hurricane Matthew is making its presence known in Florida.
If it comes on land, one of the worst hurricanes Florida has seen.
The outer bands of the storm started pounding southern parts of Florida's Atlantic coast with heavy winds and waves late this afternoon. Forecasters expect the storm to make landfall near Cape Canaveral overnight.
This storm's a monster. I'm going to pray for everybody's safety.
Governor Rick Scott urged people to seek shelter before it's too late, but some intend to ride out the storm at home.
We've been through so many of these and not had any, serious altercations. Hopefully it'll be the same thing.
Officials condemned that kind of overconfidence.
You're a fool, because this hurricane is unlike any other hurricane we've seen.
Matthew is packing sustained winds of more than 100 miles per hour. A storm surge of more than 11 feet could also flood part of the coastline.
9 out of 10 people who have died as a result of water. The wind can be damaging and deadly too. All the hazards are in play, an extremely dangerous situation.
Buildings across South Florida are boarded up. Grocery stores' shelves are empty. Florida's major airports look like ghost towns. Amusement parks are shuttered. The governor warned people to expect power outages for days.
You should do everything you can to be self-sufficient for 3 days.
As the storm took aim, more than 2 million people from Florida to the Carolinas were told to move inland. Don Champion, CBS News, Orlando.
We continue keeping our eye on Hurricane Matthew, and with that we have plenty of watches and warnings along the east coast of Florida. Take a look at this. It is a very active one, and this goes for the next 5 days for the Atlantic, of course, across the eastern tip of Florida. And you'll notice this is all associated with the hurricane pushing its way through, still on the low level side of a Category 4, winds of 130 miles per hour, moving northwest at 11 miles per hour. And here is the latest radar and satellite that we're looking at. You see this radar continue to push in the center of that eye wall, still miles off the coast, and we'll continue to keep you updated on this throughout the rest of the night. Now, as far as the track goes, notice we're looking at winds around 125 miles per hour by noon on your Friday, and then eventually by Sunday at midnight, this should weaken to a tropical storm. But high pressure up to the northwest going to force this thing back down to really what we're talking about, the southern tip of Florida. And of course, on Friday morning, many Kentuckians who were on vacation this week in Florida decided to head home before Matthew hit. But others say they'll be staying until this storm passes. Monique Blair talked to a Somerset man and a former Kentucky news anchor who are still bracing for the storm.
Actually, it's a little bit eerie.
David Sparks knows this dark and still Orlando sky could be the calm before the storm.
We were told that once the winds reach 45 miles an hour, we cannot come out of the room. They've actually asked everyone to be off the streets tonight by 6 p.m., which that's already passed.
Sparks and his wife, who live in Somerset, have been camping at a Disney World campground all week until they were forced to relocate to an actual building this morning for safety purposes. Sparks says staff members have already passed out flashlights to each guest, and for now, Sparks says he feels perfectly safe.
Just going to take it as it comes. Everyone's been very kind. We've met a lot of nice people here, and we're just going to ride it out together.
About 130 miles north in St. Augustine and about 20 miles from the coast, former WKYT news anchor Stacey Ellison talked to us from her home.
I think it's interesting when the rest of the country is watching this. It is a little different than when you're here because we are getting kind of the local breakdown of what's going to happen in our neighborhood. So we're good.
Ellison has stocked up on water, gas, and non-perishables, but she says that's nothing compared to what others who live near the coast are going through.
Really, it puts it in perspective when you know there are other people who boarded up their windows and took their valuables and had to leave.
In Lexington, Monique Blair, WYMT Mountain News.
Tanner, President Obama has declared a state of emergency for Florida and South Carolina. Federal agencies are trying to keep Americans calm and prepared. And of course, FEMA has already put its resources in place.
Meteorologist Andrew Dockery. Andrew, thank you.